For those who don't know, who are you and what are you running for?
I'm Angie Gardner. I'm running for Commissioner for District 7 for the Orange County Board of County Commissioners.
As the current mayor of Eatonville, Florida, how has this role shaped your perspective regarding leadership and public service?
Wow, so I was mayor, I've been mayor for the last 4 years. March 17th was when the new installation of officers happened. So from 2022 to 2026, I have been involved in the administration of town affairs, as well as having that one vote on the town council. Being mayor is directly related to the work that I'm asking to continue in District 7 for Orange County. Being mayor, being over the administration, you understand how all the different departments work, the budget, not just getting the budget together, but also implementing the budget, making sure that budget guidelines and budget limits are adhered to. It also, you have to look at the roads, the infrastructure, everything falls on your shoulders as mayor. As county commissioner, you don't have the administrative challenges. However, as that one vote on the council, you are making sure that you are taking care of your district. You are also making sure that the decisions being made are the right decisions for your district, as well as being aware of what's going on in the other districts so that your vote supports the county as a whole.
What do you think are the top three issues facing District 7 currently?
District 7 incorporates Pine Hills, College Park, Eatonville, Orlo Vista, Maitland, Mercy Drive. And when you think about all those different areas, the main three areas to consider would be safety, accessibility, as well as economic development.
Community engagement is important in local government. How do you plan to stay connected with the needs and concerns of District 7 residents?
Right, right now, communication is key. So as mayor, we started doing stakeholders meetings. Not everyone could get to your first and third Tuesday meetings that start at 6:30 and 7:30 at night. But others, when we started doing the stakeholders meeting that started like 5:30 on like the third Monday, then it allowed another time for citizens to come out so that they can get an update on what's going on in the town and also give input. So that's one way to do it. The other way is to use all your social media platforms in order to get the word out for, because that goes from the young to the older generations. Everyone has their own degree of comfortability when it comes to social media. So definitely use social media as well as just going out in the community and doing town hall meetings.
What role do you see the District 7 area playing in the future growth and development of Central Florida?
If you have been paying attention, a lot of growth is going to be happening in Pine Hills right now. So when you talk about accessibility to housing, Pine Hills right now is pushing toward 200,000. Um, and there are certain developments that are going up in that area that is going to be well over, thousands of additional housing. That's going to make a difference in the county as a whole if you say that affordability and accessibility to housing is one of the areas and challenges. Um, Even though it's not just for Central Florida, but District 7, which is the largest area in regards to Pine Hills, they're going to have to figure out how do you reach the housing needs as well as consider making sure there's green space, making sure it doesn't become a concrete jungle. So that's one way that District 7 will play into the whole scope of Orange County.
You mentioned housing earlier. Affordable housing remains a major concern in Orange County. What specific strategies would you support to expand affordable housing while preventing displacement of longtime residents?
The way that we've approached housing, it really has not worked. Because if you think that building more and more and more and more units is going to cap or or be sustainable, it's not. So my approach is to look at housing differently. Some of those areas of looking at housing is, let's see what is really needed. If you think about college students and how they live in dormitories, that dormitory life doesn't have as large a footprint as having 5 separate units. So if you have like dormitory style housing, that allows more people to live in a smaller area, but each having their own space, but also having a community space. So that's one thing. The other is to maybe look at how we are considering housing in general. Um, Again, if we look at the traditional 1 bedroom, two bedroom, um, we're going to run out of space if our population continues to grow. So I definitely will continue to think about the innovative ways that we can approach collaborative housing. And that will be one approach that I would take to accessibility of housing.
District 7 includes diverse and historically underserved communities. What steps would you take to ensure equitable distribution of resources, infrastructure, and economic development opportunities?
Smart growth. Um, each area, even though it's diverse, each area has their own needs, their own desires. Some of those desires would kind of overlap, but each area is going to be unique. So you look at each area, listen to the residents. For instance, in College Park, they are already working on rebranding Edgewater, their business district on Edgewater to the Drive. I think that is fantastic work that they're doing. In Maitland, they have their CRA working for them. In Pine Hills, they're going through their master planning right now. And that in itself is super important because it's allowing the residents to take part in how their area is developed and how it changes. The same as in Eatonville, and we deal with the Hungerford property and the Hungerford property being developed. So those are, so you look at each area in the way that its uniqueness needs to be viewed. And that's the lens that I will look at in regards to meeting all the different unique challenges in each of the areas of the district.
Community relationships with law enforcement remain an important issue. How would you work to strengthen trust, communication, and collaboration between law enforcement and District 7 residents?
Community policing is a great way to bring law enforcement and community together for several reasons. One way, if you bring the community and you involve the community in its own safety mechanisms, then chances are you'll come up with ideas that really work. Also, when you bring law enforcement with youth, then you build relationships. It is much better for a law enforcement officer to meet a youth and say, hey man, what's up? Or how are y'all doing? Versus hands behind your back. And if you build relationships early, then you also open up lines of communication. One way in the town of Eatonville, when I was mayor, we used community policing to build a PAL clubhouse. Both my daughters were sports scholar athletes. And so I think that sports are important. Sports build teamwork. And when kids come together, they learn how to deal socially with one another, how to work together. And by using the grant monies from the DOJ or Department of Justice, we use that money to fund sports teams, sports equipment, so that we can bring sports back to the town, but also in the whole district. Let's get the kids back outside to play together, get away from those cell phones, get away from social media, and let them learn how to deal face to face with one another.
As we know, there are a lot of people running for District 7 right now. What sets you apart from the other candidates?
One of the main things that set me apart from the other candidates is that I have a resume. It's one thing for me to say, tell you a list of things that I will do as representative for District 7. But it's another for you to be able to go back, look at all of the YouTube videos, look at the agendas, read the minutes, and see that just the resume without me saying one word will give you an idea of how I would represent you in District 7. And I think what you'll find is that I have a huge consistency in my ideas. I have a consistency in making sure that my first priority is for the citizens. Because if I'm going to represent you, then I represent you based on what I stated that I would do. And that's put you first.
If elected, what are the top three priorities you would focus on in your first year, and how would residents in District 7 see tangible results?
The three areas: safety, and we already talked about community policing. I think that putting more efforts and more ideas and expanding and enhancing community policing will benefit all areas of a community. Economic development, I believe in making sure our small businesses receive the support that they need. In particular, I think it would be wonderful for us to look more at using incubators to make certain that small businesses can, they don't have to deal with all that overhead. But if you have incubators where small businesses can get started, then that will help them uh, use more of their funding in order to get their business up and going, and thus hiring others. The other area is accessibility. Accessibility, not just for housing, but accessibility for healthcare. Let's look at health savings accounts as well as CDBG block grants, where the county can control the amount of money that can be set aside for healthcare, but at the same time, helping as many people as possible, more so on the wellness side before catastrophic injuries or health issues occur.